criminal justice development find work. And in the course of doing that, I spend quite a bit of time doing some public speaking for HR organizations and large employers. And one of the things that I've become really enamored with talking about is this idea that bias in the hiring process has a pretty significant impact on individuals, especially those that have some barriers to employment. So I'm going to share my screen here very quickly.
Okay, hold on a second. I forgot to get multiple. Okay, go ahead.
Come on, BV.
I'm with it. There it is.
Let me share my screen here and kind of show you a bit of my, all right. So let me start the slideshow. So often when I do presentations, and I start talking about bias, people will ask me the question, well, what's the difference between bias and prejudice? And I'm going to kind of let you read this slide on your own. But to me, the main difference is that bias is softer than prejudice, because often bias actually comes with a little bit of information. So maybe somebody actually had some experience with a particular person or a group or a thing, and they kind of form this bias, either positive or negative in their mind, that impacts how they're going to interact with that next similar idea or similar problem or similar person. And prejudice to me is a lot harder because it's kind of irrational. It doesn't necessarily come with any evidence, just kind of a belief that forms in somebody. So I spend a lot of time talking about bias, very little time talking about prejudice, because I truly believe that bias can be overcome by seeking out more information. Now, there's this graphic that I'm going to share with you that I call the information spectrum. And I kind of, for those of you that missed this a couple of months ago, I talked about this idea that curiosity can help overcome bias. You know, basically wanting to seek out more information can move us sometimes from a no to a maybe, or a no to a yes. And so this thing that I call the information spectrum, basically what this says is we start in a place of not enough information, where we're kind of living in this place that I call Assumptionville. We're just using the stuff we have in our heads to make assumptions about this thing that maybe we know a little bit about. But if we can move ourselves into the curiosity place and gather more information, then eventually we might be able to get to an insight, which gets us to the place where we have enough information, not necessarily to change our mind, but sometimes it reinforces the decision that we made in the beginning, right? We get additional information and reinforces this thing and gives us more data to feel firmer in that belief that we have. And sometimes it actually gives us an opportunity to maybe change our minds and see the world and see people or situations in a slightly different way. Now, I have been trying to think about a good way to communicate this to audiences when I stand in front of groups and I talk. And so what I did was come up with a game. And I call that game, How About Now?
Okay.
So I'm going to see, I've got a couple of scenarios that we're going to run here. So let's get, can I get somebody to volunteer? And I'll explain the game to you. It's harmless, but I'll explain the game to you. So I can get anybody to volunteer, and I can only see a few at a time. So you have to, all right, BB? All right, BB, I see you. Okay. So here we go. So welcome everybody to the game that's sweeping America. How about now? We have our friend Brian Vaughn playing here with us today. How are you today, Brian?
Living a dream, brother.
Good. Now, Brian, you talked to our producers and they asked you one of your favorite things to do. And you said that every time someone tells you to have a good day, you scream back at them, "You're not the boss of me." Seems really strange to me, Brian, but if that's your thing, that's fine. Okay. So Brian, here's the way that How About Now works. I'm going to present you with a scenario that has some basic information in it. You're going to give me a yes or no to that scenario. And then I'm going to present you some more information. And after each piece of information, I'm going to say, Brian, how about now? And then you're going to let me know if your view has been changed. So let's get started. Brian, let's say you have a 16-year-old daughter who has generally been a good kid. And your relationship is solid and loving. She even helps out around the house, and she gets very good grades.
Okay.
Lately, though, you notice that things seem just a little bit off. The grades have started to slip, and she's even started to talk back to you a little bit at home. Then there's an incident that causes you to lose trust. A couple of months ago, you got off work early and headed home. You yelled hello in the house, and you went upstairs to your daughter's room, and she was acting very strangely. You heard a noise from her closet, and you were shocked to find the 17-year-old boy she's been dating naked. Did you get the naked part? Okay.
I heard it. Yep.
Okay. As a result, you've grounded her ever since. In the ensuing 2 months, she's been a model citizen, getting her grades back up and going back to her old self. She actually went out and got a job, which you've been asking her to do for a few months. You gave the boy you caught her with permission to come back to your home with some new rules, and he's been very polite and respectful. Now, your daughter comes to you and says that one of her female girlfriends from school, I guess female friends from school, is having a birthday party this Saturday night, and your daughter wants to go unchaperoned. She also volunteers the information that the boy she's dating will be there. Brian, do you let her go?
Yes, I do. Knowing my kid and the conversation we've had.
Okay, Brian, you totally ruined the game. Okay, why?
Okay.
I kind of thought you might say no. Okay, all right, Brian. So why did you say yes?
Because we've had the conversation about sex and the feelings that go along with that, and the emotions that go along with that, and it's about trust. And I want her to talk to me about those things, even if it's awkward. And we've had those conversations well before age 16.
Okay. I like the answer. Did anybody else have something different? Does anybody else think that they would not have let their child go? And if so, speak up.
Somebody's got to have, oh, hell no. But
I think it just depends on the way the conversation went and the relationship that you have with your daughter. I mean, because if she's been a child that you can trust and you want to trust her, then you're going to give her the opportunity. So I would let her go, because I would give her enough rope to hang herself. So if she violated that trust again, I'd keep her locked in a closet until she was 35. But the desire to want to trust them, to want to trust your children and to want to believe that they're going to do what they say they're going to do and give them the opportunity to it, is the reason why I would send my daughter and let her go along. And I would have the GPS tracker on her phone, and I might drive by a couple of times. But you want to trust them. You want to feel like they're going to do what they say, and they're going to, keep their word, because you raise them, and you don't want to think you raise somebody that you can't trust.
So trust but verify.
Exactly.
that sounds good.
All right. Anyone else?
You got to trust them to be a 17-year-old kid.
And talk about safe sex.
Yes.
What she said.
Yeah.
Well, Mace, you got a young girl who's not 16 yet, but she will. Well, you're in round 2 of dadhood, man. I expect you got something to chime in here, brother.
No, I actually agree with everything people are saying. It's yeah, you do have to keep extending the trust there and rein it in if give them the chance to succeed or fail, and no, I like what people are saying. So
Okay.
So we're all ruining Ty's game here.
It's all right. We'll get him on the next one. So this one was actually designed to be easy, right? Because what it actually demonstrates is even when we get in a tough spot with people that we know and that we care about, we tend to have a positive bias towards them because of the history that we have, right? Okay. So although they might have let us down a little bit, we can kind of fall back on what we know of them and give them some trust, warranted or unwarranted in some cases. Now I'm going to give one that's a little bit harder. Who's my next volunteer?
I want to volunteer Jess. Come on, Jess. Raise your hand. Come on, Jess. You can.
Jessica Jetter, are you gonna volunteer?
All right, I'll do it.
Okay.
She's a lawyer. She can handle it. Come on.
Everybody, welcome Jessica to our stage. It's so good to see you, Jessica. That's fantastic. When you talk to our producers, they asked you about the first person that you were ever in a relationship with, and you very oddly told them that the favorite thing about the first person who ever broke up with you is that they're dead. So it seems like kind of a cold thing to say, but okay, Jessica, that's what you said. All right. So here we go. Here's the scenario, Jessica. So let's pretend that you're single. You go on a date with someone that you met on a dating app. You meet them for coffee. And the first thing that you notice when they walk into the coffee shop is that they are much more attractive than in their profile pictures, which never happens, but it happened in this. And as you speak to them, the conversation is really easy. And at some point, in their profile, it said that they were divorced. And so at some point during the conversation, you ask, why did you get divorced 2 years ago? And the person's actually very forthcoming with you. They say, my last relationship ended because I cheated on my partner. The question is, at this point, would you go out on a second date with this person?
Yeah, probably.
Damn, you guys, killing me today. Killing me today.
I mean, you just never know. Sometimes there's reasons why people do that in certain situations. Maybe they've grown and changed.
Dang, Jet. Okay.
Just kidding. I'd say no. Get out of
That's
here.
more
I'm
like
going to
it.
pretend, Jessica, what I heard you say was no. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend that you say no.
Okay.
Okay, so what if you then find out, so you say no, you're not sure you have enough information. What if you then find out that this person is a gourmet cook and that they can also fix pretty much anything around the house?
Yeah, that's pretty
Jessica,
good.
how about now? How about now, Jessica?
That's pretty good. I'd go on that date.
Okay, so
And by the way, Jessica, are you available for coffee?
Yes.
Like this.
okay.
Oh, that's
This
terrible.
turned out to be a nightmare. So I want to thank NLWBC for but so this scenario was, and so anybody else, is there anyone else out there? Jessica, thank you for playing. Brian, thank you for playing and for being so forgiving. Is there anyone out there who agrees with Jessica that you would go on that second date right away? And why is that?
Hey, Ty, I'm in on this. That's totally because my bias is this person is very attractive. That's where you had me at attractive. So
Okay, Mr. Superficial. Yeah.
Anyone else?
How about our new person, Amanda?
I was just in total agreement with her, and I was like, "Oh, why though?" I was trying to come up with a. I don't think it's necessarily the attraction thing for me. I'm just like hopelessly believe in people, so I was right along the same exact mind frame as her. As you know what, there's always two sides to a story. There could have been circumstances, and I'm just constantly, all about people being able to change and do things different. So I absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind, I would have gone to the second one for sure.
So I think the lesson for me here is to only play this game in a room full of pessimists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time we'll
Well,
I'll admit.
Can I chime in, Ty?
Of course.
I just really appreciate this distinction about bias because I could see, I'm just seeing revealed, my bias would be, well, this is kind of an interesting person. Oh, they had the secret life thing. And I'm a bit of a trouble seeker, I think. And I've had relationships that show me, no, that's kind of intriguing. So I have a bias toward finding them more interesting and the attraction. So anyway, great distinction.
Well, what I was going to say there, Ty, is that I think what you were going for was if, someone, once a cheater, always a cheater. But my thing is they said they were divorced on the profile. And when you asked them about it, the first time it came up, they said, I did it. Like they fell on the sword. They didn't hem and haw, and you're, 5 dates in. It's like, oh, by the way, the reason why I got divorced wasn't because of the kids. It wasn't because I didn't like the dog. No, it was because I had some side action. Sorry. Does that change things? 6 dates in? No, they set it up front. It's kind of like the one of your favorite things on the job applications, the tick box about your criminal history. Yeah, they were upfront about it. They didn't hide it, and so I can respect that.
Right.
Got it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, Ty, what if the scenario was a little different and, everything you said was the same, but this person's coming to work for this guy. He's a doctor and he's already divorced his first wife, married his new assistant. Now he's asking, now that assistant's his wife, they're getting divorced, and he's got a new assistant that he wants to take out. You got a pattern. Right. And what you basically said is, all right, this might be an isolated incident. And it's, and they're honest and forthright and, they sound great. But if you can see a pattern, which you're not going to find out on the first date,
Right.
that would certainly make a difference for me because, I give everybody a mulligan. You can just totally mess up, but come on.
Yeah, what if the assistant's really, what if the new assistant's really hot?
That's why you asked her out.
Hey, Ryan, I think HR wants to have a conversation with you.
Do we have anybody from HR on the call here?
Right. Well, I thank you guys, and Doug, thank you for that distinction. That's a good idea. So thank you guys for playing. I appreciate it. This is something that's kind of a work in progress. So I'm trying to figure out how to structure this so that it is something that the audience can participate in, yet it still kind of gets across that thing that I'm talking about, which is this information spectrum, right?
I love that graphic. That is so great.
One piece of information kind of starts you on the road, and we so often with that one piece can just make a decision like that or a judgment that quickly. But if we can be patient enough to get a little more information, then we might actually either reaffirm our decision or change our minds. And
hey, Ty, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Rather than a yes or no answer, and a lot of what you're doing is, Covey's seek to understand and then to be understood.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't seek to understand, what question would you ask? What do you need to know to make a decision if you'll go out or not? And that might reveal some biases. Like, how many times did you cheat? Now I've got a bias that, okay, this person's a cheater, so I want to know information on that. Or why did you tell me right away? I mean, who knows what they'll say? But now you're eliciting information, which I think is what you're asking for, is let's elicit information and see where this goes.
Yeah, that is a great suggestion.
Just a thought. But and the other thing I wanted to say though is that your beginning of what Brian said of have a nice day and stuff, those and then what you did with Jessica too, those were really great to pull people in and get them and so that you're hey, welcome to the game show. I mean that's
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's a great idea. It's engaging.
All right, I'm going to